Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. I've been working on the Revell 1970 Shelby GT500 over these last few days, and I've made a lot of progress. Pretty impressed with the amount of progress I've actually made. This one's going pretty smooth and pretty quick. So let me turn the camera around and show you where I'm at and what I got done so far. So starting with some of the basics here, I got the wheels mostly detailed. I hand painted inside the spokes there. I had to put some primer on it first because it was right on chrome, and then I used some Kaleido gunmetal over the primer for inside the spokes and inside where the lug nuts are and stuff like that, the wheel hub. Not terribly noticeable, but noticeable enough. I did spray some semi-gloss, once again Kaleido semi-gloss clear over the tires. I found some decals for some white letter. I wanted some Goodyear polyglass, but I was short one on my decals. You get extra with your Fireball Model Works. He gives you 5 instead of 4, and I keep the extras, and what I ended up doing was I only had one extra of the G60s. I had a couple of the F60s for the front, or F70s for the front, but I only had one on the back. So, but I looked in some of my other kits, and in the Revell 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1 kit, I didn't use the decals off of the James Bond edition one that I got. So I'm going to use those Firestone wide ovals. I'll get those on, and I'll get the center cap snake in there too, and then that'll be done. For the engine, I got that one all painted up. I got the aluminum intake on. I used Freedom Blue from the primary colors from Kaleido. I used the Freedom Blue for the Ford Blue there, and just their aluminum for the transmission. Some of the other stuff, you know, blue for the air cleaner, same Freedom Blue for the air cleaner. And some of the shocks and stuff, I used stainless steel on the exhaust manifolds. So that's those. Everything else is just in black. The rest of the exhaust also in stainless steel. It just slips on like that. Actually, it goes like this. So there's the exhaust. I've got the exhaust tips. I actually drilled them out and cut them out, and I got them in, it's a chrome piece, and I got it in the LA's Totally Awesome, getting stripped of its chrome so I can paint it black for the black exhaust tip. This is just, all these black parts are just Kaleido black primer. Just their regular acrylic black primer, not the gloss, just the regular black. It's just like a semi-gloss. It's not really truly matte, I don't think. The aluminum, I painted the gas tank in aluminum, and I did dull coat it. I sprayed some matte varnish on it to knock it down. I do still have a lot of detail painting to do on the front suspension and some of these other things. I have a lot of detail painting yet, but the most of the main painting is done. The dashboard ready for all the decals for the gauges and the wood grain going around all that, and then I'll use some chrome or whatever and pick out these dials and stuff, whatever I can. Also in the black primer is the roll bar and all these other parts. You see I got the radiator support and some of that stuff. A little bit of detail painting on that. We'll go to the seats. Kaleido Off-White from, I believe, also their Mecha line on the seats. The interior is Kaleido Off-White. I still have everything taped off because I just did the embossing powder for the carpet, but I've got everything taped off. I taped off and painted. I actually brush painted the primer back here to get the black. The brush paints pretty well, actually. I did have to use 2 coats, but it does brush paint pretty well. You can see all the stuff I got to get off the door panels yet. Off-white, again, still for the rest of the interior. I'll get all this tape off in a little bit, but you can see how I do the embossing powder there. Tape everything off. So that's the interior. Let's go to the body. We'll take a look at some of the body parts here. Here is the tail light panel. Once again, I brush painted that with the Kaleido black primer. The matte, not the gloss. Taped off, and I painted that. The rest of it's the body color orange. In fact, I'll peel the tape off right now. There you go. Let's get this off of here so I can show you better. That's going to be covered up by a bumper, the chrome bumper, so I'm not worried about that line there. Well, looks pretty good, I think. And the side mirrors, drilled a hole underneath and used copper wire to hold them on. I'll drill a hole in the body as well. I should have did that before I painted it. I was going to, and then I forgot. So I forget stuff like that. That's just what I do. I forget stuff like that. So I have to get pretty precise with my drilling so I don't have a couple of pock marks where I started and stopped. So I have to line that up and set it up and drill the hole. Pretty easy. Shouldn't have a problem. Shouldn't mess it up. Fingers crossed as I say that. Those are the mirrors. Throw away the tape. To the hood, the decals still have to go on, and I have to paint inside, I'm sure. Those vents right there. I'll be painting those, I'm sure. See the holes for the hood pins. Detail paint underneath here. I'll just get some black, tape off real quick, and put some black under there. Not really ever going to see it. I'm the only one that's going to see it, but I'm still going to paint it black. This still has to be wet sanded and polished. Today is what? Monday, the 24th of November. I'm thinking tomorrow, Tuesday, because I painted it and cleared it the same day. Or no, I didn't. I primed it and painted it the same day. On Friday the 21st and Saturday the 22nd, I shot the clear on it, the gloss varnish. So the third day would be the 25th, Tuesday. I give it 3 days, and it's hard and ready to be wet sanded by then. So I love this Kaleido varnish. Awesome stuff so far, and as well as their paints. Here is the rest of the body. I taped off after I painted it. I did this today. I taped it off actually yesterday. I usually don't do stuff on Sundays, but I did tape off the engine bay here. And once again, I brush painted the Kaleido black primer into the engine bay here and into these fender wells, just for that. And then I pulled the tape, so everything's pretty sharp edges. Everything came out pretty good. Pretty happy with it so far. But it does have to be wet sanded and polished. Now, maybe the question is what color is that? Well, I used a mixture of Kaleido Sunset Orange and Orange Yellow. It's an orange yellow color. And I started with the Sunset Orange, and I added in I probably did it 8 milliliters of the Sunset Orange to 4 milliliters of the Orange Yellow. So you can call it a 2-to-1 mixture, whatever you want, but 8-4, 10-5. That is the mixture I used. I also actually added a little bit of their thinner and the bottom of the cup before I mixed it. I just filled the bottom of the cup, just enough. Didn't use hardly any at all. Maybe a milliliter to cover the surface of the bottom of the cup. So when I mixed it, I was getting a good mixture. And I actually did drop in, going away from the Kaleido here actually, because I don't have the retarder thinner. I dropped in a couple of drops of the Createx retarder. I don't know why. I just did to see how it would spray that way. I don't really think this stuff needs a retarder or thinner, but I did it. It still sprayed pretty good for me, but I'm very comfortable spraying it through my airbrush at 18 psi. It's a 0.38, a 0.38 needle and nozzle is what I spray the Kaleido through at 18 pounds. And it sprays, to me, it sprays pretty well, perfectly. I did spray, once again, the off-white up underneath for the headliner and all that stuff. So that's done too. So that's where I'm at. I just got some detailing to do. I got to get the decals in for the door panels here for the wood grain, and maybe pick out the door handles and window cranks with some chrome paint and everything else. I can detail, once again, I got to detail the suspension. Lots of detail painting to do yet, but this is all done and ready to be wet sanded and polished. Like I said, the next day, tomorrow, I'll get that done. Probably won't be doing anything on Thanksgiving, so I'll probably I might get the chrome on. I'll do the bare metal foil on maybe Wednesday if I get it wet sanded and polished on Tuesday. Probably the decals on Friday, and then we'll get this thing put together. But I'll probably have another update for you when everything's on. Show you how the wood grain went on, the door panels and the dashboard, and get the stripes on and show you what it looks like with the stripes on and the hood. Everything final. The wheels and tires, I'll show you those when those get decaled, the center caps and the tires themselves, the white letters. And I'll show you everything before I put it all together. And that'll take me a day or two. So sometime next week, I'm going to say. But, okay, things happen. Trouble happens. Who knows? But that's what I got for you today on the Shelby. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all your views and all your likes and all your subscriptions. Just keep on modeling, and thanks for watching the channel. I'll see you at the next update.